Dr. Tennison, I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey. And before I do that, if you don't know Dr. Tennison, you're going to love him by the end of this. You taught a couple classes that I was in at North Central. And what I love about Dr. Tennison is you are so brilliant, but you're not see, I can't even talk right now. See, this is my point. But you're not like intimidating. And it's something that I think is something that a lot of young adults love about you is you're so open to talk about things, but you're willing to talk about them and explain them to a point where we need to understand rather than just giving your answer that you understand and nobody else does. And I think that's really cool. And, you know, you have your doctorate from Fuller Theological Seminary. Your master's is from where?
Asbury Seminary.
Asbury. And then your undergrad's from Evangel.
Evangel,
I got 2 out of 3, guys. Tell us a little bit about, like, why are you a professor? What intrigued you about, like, getting into teaching and theology and all of that? Like, go wherever direction you want to go, but I just think it's, you know, you could be doing many things. I know you were a pastor at a time. You were actually young adults pastor, a singles pastor in California. Talk to us about like how you landed where you're at now.
The reason I got into this was initially because I felt like I was supposed to be in vocational ministry. And I was getting my bachelor's degree, and I graduated with this sense that I still felt like I didn't know enough about the Bible, that I didn't know enough, that I was already starting in ministry, but I just wanted to know more. And the thing was, because I felt like I'm going to be sharing this with people, I really want to know that I'm right and that I'm not mishandling something. And so that brought me to my seminary because I just wanted to be as responsible as I could with the Word of God. And then that just birthed desire in me for more higher education. And so it was this kind of struggle for me. There was a point where I was a pastor of a church, an executive pastor, and they wanted me to be full-time. The lead pastor. I was already full-time, but to go and just move into the lead position. And at the same time, I had this opportunity to go to Fuller on a full fellowship. And so it was this, huge moment for me. Do I become a lead pastor, or do I get the doctorate? And it eventually came down to, I just want to know more, and I just felt like the Lord was saying to me that I can use you in either way. I think there's sometimes, I'll just say this, with God's will, where you say to God, is it A or B? And God's like, man, both are awesome. Because whatever you choose here, they're both in my will because they're both something I want someone to do. If you choose A, I'll find someone for B. And so I just had to make that choice. And I'm like, I just really feel like this is something I should do. And so I went to Fuller and just threw myself into theological studies. And then from there, just different job opportunities opened up for me until eventually I came to North Central.
What is it that you love about teaching young adults? Obviously, there's, college students, there's many ages, but most of them being, young, formable minds. Why do you enjoy that so much?
It's not so much I enjoy young adults. What I enjoy is adults. I was a youth pastor, and I was terrible at it. and I mean, part of it was this. I was great one-on-one with kids, but I'm just not fun. I'm funny. There's a difference between funny and being fun. I'm funny. I'm not fun. And so, I was not the kind of youth pastor who was going to do an all-night, laser tag something. That just wasn't me. And so when I started teaching at a college age and when I started doing, by the way, I used to be a high school teacher. Oh my goodness, was I not good at that. Or I should say this, I actually taught high school. I was good at it in the sense that I had my class under control. I did not have any discipline problems in my class because I put out every little fire that started every time. And by the end of the day, I couldn't remember having taught. All I could remember is putting out fires. And I'm like, I just want to teach. I want to go somewhere I can actually remember having taught something. And I so respect people who are going into education for high school, junior high, you're saints because of how difficult that is. And so, what I really enjoy is teaching adults. And that starts at the college level. And I just love that opportunity to be able to talk to people who are, some of them feeling like they're in adulthood for the first time. And they're trying to figure out things for themselves because they recognize I'm going to be the new foundation for some other family. I'm the foundation of my own life right now. And I want to know that I can stand strong and firm. And again, I also just love it because I teach, like right now, I was with a group of students today for lunch. We're interviewing a new candidate for a position at our school. So we're having our students question him. My students blow me away. And I just looked at them and thought, man, you guys are so much cooler than I was when I was your age. And so I think there's something about that opportunity to just look at people who are 20, 30 years, well, I guess 20 years younger than me, and you're just like, wow, they are amazing. And so part of that is there too, is just, I get to work with people that impress me.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, teaching, before teaching comes, there's learning. And, obviously we're here talking about questions that we have for God, and, God, we believe that, he's able to be asked questions, but sometimes it can be difficult to hear from a God that you can't see or touch. For you, what made you feel like Christianity, okay, this is the right way? And from what it sounds like, you have had that for a while, but obviously as someone who's an intellectual, someone who, you ask yourself, I have to keep learning. I'm not going to take this lead pastor position because I want to keep growing my knowledge. I feel like that could be difficult because a lot of people are saying the smarter I go, especially here at the U, the smarter I get, the more knowledge I get, the more I walk away from God. But for you, obviously, it's brought you closer. What was there a moment that clicked, or was there several moments that you thought, Christianity is the right way for me because I think it's the right way?
Yeah, those are probably two overlapping questions here. One is, why am I a Christian? And the other is, why do I think Christianity is true?
Sure.
And I think, because one is personal. Part of the reason why I'm a Christian is because I was raised in a non-hypocritical Christian home. I was raised by parents who made it easy for me to believe in the faithfulness of God because they were so loving and faithful towards me. And I think when you grow up in that non-hypocritical environment where it's not only is it easy to believe because it's what you've known and been told, but it works. It works in our home. And I look at how our home is structured and how we respond to our community and how we take care of our neighbors, and my goodness, it just works. And so I'm a Christian partly because of that, but then the other question is, but why are you still a Christian? Sure. Why have you remained a Christian as an adult? And what I found is, there's 3 or 4 things I would probably want to say here. One, and again, they're all overlapping. There's so many things. My goodness, the short answer to all of the questions is Jesus. Right? Why am I a Christian? Why do I remain a Christian? Why do I think Christianity is true? Jesus. Yeah. The long answer is, for me, Christianity hits all the marks of what, beauty, truth, and goodness. That as I understand the Christian faith, and especially as I've explored it as a theologian, the better I know it, the more it makes sense to me. But not just that, the more it makes sense of everything else, right? That because of my faith, I have this way of understanding evil. I have this way of understanding people. I have this way of understanding love. Everything makes so much sense through this. And also because it just is true in a way that if it's not true, I don't know what else is. Because of how everything fits, how everything is comprehensive, how everything is coherent, and living this life out leads me into a lifestyle that is so ethical. That the way that I respond to people, the way I'm told to see people, the way that I have through the Christian faith, seen people redeemed, seen people's lives changed in a way that would not have happened for them without this. That it just hits all those marks for me, for truth, beauty, and goodness, that you would say, why are you a Christian? And I guess my answer is, what else have you got? Sure. Yeah. I don't understand the world apart from Christ. I don't understand the world apart from the story of Jesus. I don't understand why I exist. But if you tell me that there is a God that chose to create me because God wanted me, and if there's a God that wanted me, that's a God that's not going to abandon me. There's going to be some mechanism by which that God would save me if I need to be saved, and the way that would be done would not be against me but for me. Suddenly things make sense in terms of the cross. It makes sense in terms of the resurrection, because God's not just saving my soul, he's saving everything about me. That includes the body. Yeah. And when I look at it more and more deeply, everything just fits together and makes sense. Now, I think that for some people, when they begin to study, they don't reject Christianity because of how much they've studied. I think for some, and I just mean some, I'm not trying to throw everyone under the bus here, they reject Christianity because they studied enough to find a reason to reject it. And then they stop studying. I once knew a guy in seminary who, told me he no longer went to church. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, now I know more than every pastor. And I'm like, you're the most incredible person I've ever met. You know more than every pastor. And what he meant is I now feel like I've learned just enough that I don't have to listen to anyone else. And he was misusing this education, which again, as a Christian, whatever you have is meant to be given out for the good of other people. And this guy wasn't even thinking of his education in a Christian way. So my point is, well, really, at what point did you leave the Christian faith? Sure. Was it because of your education, or did you get educated in this way because you were looking for a way out? And so I think for some people, education just becomes that excuse. Not everybody. But I think for some it becomes that excuse. I learned just enough to be able to formulate an intelligent answer as to why I'm not a Christian, and now I have an excuse to leave.